What if the invisible force shaping every moment of your life has been with you since the day you were born? What if your greatest power isn't in your muscles, your money, or your circumstances, but in the energy you carry into every thought, every decision, and every room you enter? The greatest mysteries of human potential have never been hidden in distant places. They have always been hidden within the silent space of the mind. The moment you learn to master your energy field is the moment your outer world begins to obey your inner world. Most people spend their entire lives believing that their energy is determined by what happens around them. They wake up depending on circumstances to decide whether they will feel confident, peaceful, motivated, or discouraged. They think a difficult conversation drains their energy, a financial problem weakens them, or a compliment suddenly fills them with confidence. Yet the deeper truth is that every external experience first passes through the mind before it becomes an emotional reality. The energy you carry is not simply a reaction to life. It is a reflection of the thoughts you repeatedly choose and the emotions you repeatedly nourish. Every dominant thought leaves an invisible imprint within your mind, and every emotion strengthens that imprint until it becomes your natural state of being. Imagine your mind as a powerful broadcasting station that never turns off. Every belief, expectation, memory, and mental picture sends out a signal. If your thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, frustration, and limitation, those emotions begin to shape the way you speak, move, decide, and respond to opportunities. Without realizing it, your posture changes, your confidence weakens, and your perception becomes focused on obstacles instead of possibilities. The opposite is equally true. When your thoughts become filled with certainty, gratitude, purpose, and calm expectation, your emotions begin to support those thoughts. Your body relaxes, your breathing deepens, your decisions become clearer, and your presence becomes stronger. Ancient wisdom has always emphasized that mastering life begins by mastering the inner world. Long before modern psychology explained the connection between thoughts and behavior, disciplined thinkers understood that the invisible always precedes the visible. They practiced moments of silence, focused attention, and intentional imagination because they recognized that the mind continuously shapes personal reality from the inside outward. Every repeated thought becomes easier to think again. Every repeated emotion becomes easier to feel again. Over time, these repeated mental patterns create habits, and those habits quietly determine the direction of an entire life. This is why guarding your thoughts is not an act of denial, but an act of intelligent creation. You cannot always control the events that appear before you, but you can decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which emotions deserve your energy. Every moment offers a choice between strengthening an old limitation or building a new pattern of confidence. By consistently choosing thoughts that support growth instead of fear, your inner atmosphere begins to change, and that change gradually influences every action, every conversation, every opportunity, and every challenge you encounter. The modern world teaches people to believe that constant activity is the path to success. Every day is filled with noise, endless information, distractions, notifications, conversations, and responsibilities that compete for attention. Most people rarely experience complete silence because the moment the external noise fades, the internal noise begins. Thoughts race from one concern to another, replaying old memories, imagining future problems, and reacting to circumstances that may never even happen. A mind that never becomes quiet cannot clearly recognize its own power because it is too busy responding to everything outside itself. Silence is far more than the absence of sound. It is a state in which the mind begins to settle and the deeper levels of awareness become accessible. When mental chatter slows down, hidden creativity starts to emerge. Intuition becomes clearer. Solutions that seemed impossible suddenly appear with surprising simplicity. This is why some of history's greatest thinkers, inventors, artists, and visionaries valued moments of solitude. They understood that the mind performs its highest work when it is no longer overwhelmed by constant stimulation. When you intentionally enter a state of calm relaxation, your attention naturally turns inward. Instead of allowing random thoughts to control your emotions, you become the observer of your own thinking. You begin to notice beliefs that have been operating automatically for years. Some encourage confidence, while others quietly produce fear and limitation. The moment you become aware of these patterns, you gain the ability to replace them with thoughts that support the life you truly desire. This quiet mental state is also where imagination becomes far more effective. Instead of forcing positive thinking through effort alone, you begin creating vivid mental experiences that feel real to the subconscious mind. The brain responds to emotionally charged images with remarkable intensity, often strengthening new patterns of belief and behavior. As these mental images are repeated consistently, they begin influencing your decisions, reactions, and confidence in everyday situations. Silence also strengthens emotional balance. Instead of reacting immediately to every challenge, criticism, or disappointment, you develop the ability to pause before responding. That brief moment of awareness changes everything because it allows wisdom to replace impulse. Decisions become more thoughtful, relationships become healthier, and unnecessary stress gradually loses its influence. The more often you practice entering this peaceful state, the easier it becomes to carry calmness into difficult situations, important conversations, and ambitious goals, allowing your inner awareness to become stronger than the constant noise that surrounds you every day. Whether you realize it or not, your mind is constantly sending signals through every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every expectation you hold. These signals influence how you perceive the world, how you communicate with others, and how you respond to opportunities. Most people assume that life simply happens to them, but much of what they experience is shaped by the mental patterns they repeat day after day. If you expect rejection, your behavior often becomes hesitant and guarded. If you expect success, you naturally become more confident, observant, and willing to take meaningful action. Your inner expectations quietly shape your outer behavior long before any visible results appear. Think about how two people can face the exact same situation, yet experience completely different outcomes. One person sees obstacles, focuses on everything that could go wrong, and hesitates until the opportunity disappears. The other notices possibilities, believes a solution can be found, and moves forward with determination. The difference is not always intelligence, talent, or luck. It is often the mental frequency each person consistently maintains. Your dominant emotional state influences your posture, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your level of persistence, and the quality of your decisions. People respond to that energy, and those responses often create the very experiences you expected in the first place. This process works because the subconscious mind pays close attention to whatever receives repeated focus. When you continuously imagine failure, disappointment, or limitation, your brain becomes more alert to evidence that supports those expectations. At the same time, it may overlook opportunities that do not fit the familiar pattern. On the other hand, when you repeatedly focus on growth, confidence, and meaningful achievement, your attention naturally shifts toward ideas, people, and possibilities that align with those goals. It is not about pretending challenges do not exist. It is about training your awareness to recognize solutions with the same intensity that fear once recognized problems. Every conversation you have with yourself becomes a form of mental instruction. The words you repeat internally are accepted by your subconscious over time, especially when they are accompanied by strong emotion. Encouraging thoughts build courage, while fearful thoughts strengthen hesitation. By consciously choosing empowering beliefs and combining them with clear mental images of the future you want to create, you begin shaping your behavior in ways that support those beliefs. Your actions become more consistent, your confidence becomes more natural, and your daily choices begin reflecting the inner reality you have deliberately cultivated through focused thought and emotional alignment. Every remarkable achievement begins twice. It is first created within the mind long before it appears in the physical world. Every invention, every masterpiece, every business, every athletic victory, and every personal transformation started as a clear mental picture held with conviction before it became visible reality. Most people wait until they see proof before they believe in a possibility. But those who consistently achieve extraordinary results understand that the mind must first accept an image before the body can fully express it through action. Visualization is not about escaping reality. It is about preparing your mind to recognize opportunities, strengthen confidence, and direct your actions toward a desired outcome. The subconscious mind responds far more powerfully to vivid experiences than to ordinary words. When you repeatedly imagine yourself succeeding with clarity and emotion, your brain begins treating that experience as meaningful. It starts building stronger neural pathways that support confidence, focus, and purposeful behavior. This is one reason elite performers mentally rehearse important moments before they happen. They picture themselves responding calmly, making excellent decisions, overcoming challenges, and completing each step successfully. By doing this repeatedly, they reduce uncertainty and prepare themselves to perform with greater consistency when the real moment arrives. The quality of your visualization matters just as much as the frequency. A vague wish produces a vague response, but a detailed mental experience creates stronger emotional engagement. Imagine the environment around you. Notice the sounds, the expressions on people's faces, the feeling of confidence in your body, and the satisfaction of accomplishing your goal. Allow yourself to experience gratitude as though the result has already become part of your life. These emotional details help impress the experience more deeply into your subconscious, making your thoughts feel more believable and your actions more natural. Visualization also changes the way you approach challenges. Instead of becoming overwhelmed by uncertainty, you begin seeing yourself finding solutions with patience and confidence. Obstacles become temporary situations instead of permanent barriers. Your attention shifts away from fear and toward creative possibilities. This change in perspective influences countless daily decisions that often determine long-term success. Small choices become more intentional because they are connected to a clear mental destination. Of course, visualization alone does not produce achievement. The images you create must inspire consistent action. Every mental rehearsal should encourage practical steps that move you closer to your vision. As your inner picture becomes stronger, hesitation gradually loses its influence. Confidence grows because your mind has already practiced success many times before your actions begin reflecting the reality you have patiently built within your imagination through focused attention and unwavering belief. Your energy is one of your greatest personal resources, yet many people give it away without ever realizing it. They allow negative conversations to shape their mood, constant criticism to weaken their confidence, and endless streams of fearful information to occupy their thoughts. Over time, they begin carrying emotions that were never truly their own. The mind absorbs far more than most people notice. Every environment you enter, every conversation you participate in, every book you read, every video you watch, and every person you spend time with leaves an impression. Those impressions slowly influence your beliefs, expectations, and emotional state until they become part of your daily experience. Protecting your energy does not mean isolating yourself from the world or avoiding every challenge. It means becoming intentional about what you consistently allow into your mental environment. Just as you would not knowingly eat unhealthy food every day and expect your body to thrive, you cannot continuously feed your mind fear, anger, resentment, and hopelessness while expecting to maintain clarity, confidence, and inner peace. Mental nutrition is just as important as physical nutrition because your thoughts become the foundation of every decision you make. Pay close attention to the people whose presence consistently leaves you feeling inspired, encouraged, and capable. Notice the conversations that expand your thinking instead of limiting it. Seek knowledge that challenges you to grow rather than information designed only to create anxiety. Every positive influence strengthens your inner stability, making it easier to remain focused even when circumstances become difficult. At the same time, learn to recognize patterns that repeatedly drain your emotional strength. Complaining, gossip, constant negativity, and endless self-doubt can quietly become habits if you spend enough time surrounded by them. One of the most powerful ways to protect your energy is by creating moments of intentional mental renewal throughout the day. Even a few minutes of quiet reflection, focused breathing, gratitude, or visualization can interrupt negative emotional patterns before they gain momentum. These simple practices remind your mind that you are choosing your internal state instead of allowing external events to control it. With repetition, this becomes a habit that strengthens emotional resilience and increases your ability to remain calm under pressure. As your awareness grows, You become more selective about where your attention goes because attention is the doorway through which energy flows. Every thought you repeatedly entertain becomes stronger, every emotion you repeatedly practice becomes more familiar, and every influence you repeatedly accept becomes part of the invisible atmosphere that shapes your character, your confidence, your relationships, and the direction of your entire life. Extraordinary lives are rarely built through a single dramatic breakthrough. They are shaped through small moments of inner alignment repeated every day until they become a natural way of living. Many people spend their lives searching for the perfect opportunity, the perfect strategy, or the perfect moment to begin, yet they overlook the simple daily habits that quietly transform the mind. Lasting success is not created by occasional inspiration, but by consistent mental discipline. Every day you either strengthen empowering patterns or reinforce limiting ones, and those repeated choices eventually determine the quality of your future. Inner alignment begins when your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions move in the same direction. If you say you want success but constantly imagine failure, your mind experiences conflict. If you desire confidence but repeatedly criticize yourself, your energy becomes divided. Real transformation begins when your inner conversation supports the future you are working to create. The more consistently you think, feel, and act in harmony with your highest vision, the more naturally your decisions begin reflecting that vision. Developing this alignment does not require hours of complicated practice. A few intentional minutes every morning can establish the emotional foundation for the entire day. Before the outside world demands your attention, take time to quiet your mind, breathe deeply, and create a clear picture of the person you choose to become. Imagine yourself responding to challenges with calmness, speaking with confidence, treating others with kindness, and remaining focused on your purpose. Allow those images to create genuine feelings of gratitude, determination, and inner certainty. These emotions become the emotional blueprint that influences your behavior throughout the day. Consistency is what gives these practices their power. A single positive thought may inspire you for a moment, but repeated positive thinking begins changing deeply rooted mental habits. Every day you practice visualization, gratitude, focused attention, and emotional awareness. You strengthen the pathways that support confidence and resilience. Over time, these practices stop feeling like techniques and become part of your natural identity. You begin responding differently without forcing yourself because your subconscious has accepted these new patterns as normal. As this inner alignment becomes stronger, your outer life begins reflecting it in unexpected ways. You communicate with greater clarity, recognize opportunities more quickly, remain steady during uncertainty, and recover faster from setbacks. People notice a quiet confidence that does not depend on external approval. Challenges no longer define your emotional state because your center of strength comes from within, allowing every thought, every decision, every action, and every new experience to become an expression of the powerful energy you have consciously chosen to cultivate.